am just fed up. Y'all's behavior has been terrible. For shame, puppets. I've been teaching y'all for 3 weeks now, and y'all just don't sit still and listen and behave. Makes me not want to teach at all. But I do want y'all to learn about missionary stories, so if y'all promise to behave, when I go get my missionary story, I'll let you get out of timeout. So, do y'all promise to behave now?
Yes.
Okay then. I'll let y'all out of timeout, and I'm going to go get my missionary story so we can learn today.
Yes. Sergeant Flynn is the leader of men. Sergeant Flynn always shouts attention. Attention! Here comes Mr. Geyser. He's older and he's wiser, reading Bible verses every day. Jesus wept! Jesus wept! Jesus wept! Here comes Mr. Geyser. He's older and he's wiser. Read the Bible with him today. Jesus wept! Jesus wept! Jesus wept!
Well, puppets, are y'all ready for a story?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Well, I've got a special surprise for y'all. This right here that I'm holding is cotton balls. And I'm about to add some sugar to the top. Do y'all know what that makes?
Cotton candy!
Well, it makes puppet cotton candy. Maybe not candy for regular kids, but I for sure wouldn't eat it as a regular kid. But it does make amazing cotton candy for puppets. And if y'all behave really well during our missionary story, I'm going to let y'all have some cotton candy.
Yay!
Yay!
And Mrs. Ellie is going to pass it out for us. So be ready to answer questions when I ask, and be ready to behave very well.
Yes,
Are y'all
ma'am.
ready for our story?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Well, let's get started. What's my first question going to be? Who remembers the name of the person we're learning about in our missionary story? Davy, what's the name?
Davy Carmichael.
Good job, Davy. Zelly, would you please give him a cotton ball? Thank you. A cotton candy? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, and our next question is, does anyone remember where Amy went as a missionary last week? Sammy, where did he go?
To China?
To China. First, she went to Japan and then to China. Good job, Sammy. Zelly, thank you. All right. Well, we're going to hop right into our missionary story today. And Amy had been praying and asking God to open a door for where God wanted her to go as a missionary next. And she knew God wanted her to go somewhere as a missionary, but she wasn't sure what God's plan was for her. So she began to spend lots of time in prayer, asking God to open that door. And after a little while, she got a letter from a good friend of hers inviting her to go to a foreign land. Does anyone want to guess what that foreign land was?
England?
No, England is where she grew up, remember?
Okay,
Any other guesses?
Bhutan?
Japan?
No.
She went to Japan last week,
That's what I said.
but that's a good guess. I'll tell you. She went to India. India. That's a very long way away, right?
Right.
Well, wrong? What?
Right.
Okay, right. Right. It's a very long way away. And Amy was excited to get the chance to go to this new mission field and begin to witness to these people in India. Many of these people had never heard about Jesus Christ before. They had never heard about salvation or anything. In fact, they had spent most of their lives being raised in temples where they would worship false gods and idols. And there were many bad things that would happen in those temples. And we're going to talk about that a little bit this week too. But Amy was excited to get the chance to reach out and talk to these people, but they viewed her as a foreigner. She looked different than they did, and she dressed different than they did. And this made them not want to listen to her. Her skin was white, and theirs was brown. And her speech wasn't like theirs. She spoke English, and they spoke a different language. And she needed an interpreter to be able to even speak to them at first. She really struggled learning the language, but she worked very, very hard. In fact, she would study the language for up to 8 hours a day. Have any of y'all ever studied a language for 8 whole hours in one day?
No, ma'am.
I haven't either. But Amy wanted to learn the language because she wanted to reach these people for Christ. Many things about their culture was very different than what she was used to. One of the things that was very different was something called the caste system. Does anyone know what a caste system is?
Something they put on your arm after you break it?
Well, that sounds like it makes sense, but that's not the right answer. But for participating and trying, Sammy's going to get a cotton candy. Thank you, Ms. Zelly.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Sammy. Thank you for participating.
Did I
Well,
try?
it's nothing to do with a broken arm or a broken leg. The caste system is something that's a little broken, though, and we're going to talk about that. It's a system that's set up so that wherever you're born into society, that's where you'll stay forever. You might be like, what does that mean? Well, let me explain. If you're born into a family that's very, very poor, you will always be poor. You're never allowed to go up and get a better job and make more money. If you're born into a low caste, then you're only ever allowed to work in low caste jobs, things like cleaning and cooking and dusting and cleaning the bathrooms and stuff like that. And you can never get a better job and move up. And Amy hated the caste system because she understood that God created everyone and God loved everyone. One of the things in the caste system that really upset her is that anyone born in a low caste was considered untouchable. And that meant that the rich caste people couldn't even touch them because they were not worthy to be touched.
That's wrong.
It is wrong, and that's not how God meant us to treat our fellow man. So Amy didn't like that at all, and she immediately began trying to work hard to help people understand the importance of loving each other and of treating each other with respect as she began to tell them about Jesus Christ. One of the first young ladies that she was able to help, dropping my book here. One of the first young ladies that she was able to help was a girl named Jewel. Jewel had gotten saved, so her whole life had been changed. But she lived among her family who were Buddhist, and they didn't allow her to worship God or Jesus, and they wouldn't let her go to church. And they made her go with them to the Buddhist temples, and she did not like that at all, but she was afraid. The Hindu temple. I said Buddhist, and I should have said Hindu. Children, it's Hindu. My memory slipped for a minute. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so she was being raised in a Hindu family, and they wouldn't allow her to go to church or attend worship with other Christians. She wasn't allowed to talk to other Christians or anything like that. And because of this, she was very discouraged. She wasn't allowed to read her Bible or anything. But she loved God and she desperately wanted to serve God. So one day she ran away from home and she went to the mission house where Amy was. While she was at the mission house, she begged them to let her live there and stay there with them so that she could learn more about Jesus and so that she could serve God. She was very excited when they told her she could stay. But a couple days later, someone showed up at the door knocking and demanding that she return home. It was her family. Her mother and her brothers were there demanding that she come back home and stay with them. And she did not want to do that because she wanted to stay with Christians and continue to learn about God. Well, thanks to one of the missionary men that was there, his name was Mr. Walker. He was able to talk to them and tell them that because the young girl was of age, she had just become an adult, because she was of age, she was allowed to decide whether she wanted to return with the family or not. And so, when she said she didn't want to return with the family, Mr. Walker sent them away. The next young girl that she helped was a little 11-year-old girl who got saved under some teaching of Miss Amy Carmichael. And as Amy taught this young girl, she became very excited about Jesus as well. Her family got so angry that they made her move away from home and live with her uncle so that she would no longer hear about Jesus Christ. Isn't that sad, kids?
That is.
Have any of y'all ever been sent away because y'all wanted to serve Jesus? No. We are very blessed if you've never been treated badly by your family because you love Jesus. And so, she was sent away, but she was sent to live with her uncle. And guess what? God was watching out for that little girl. The next thing that happened, unbeknown to her family, was that there was a mission station just down the road from where her uncle lived. Amy actually visited that mission station, and the little girl saw her and ran to the mission station so that she could once again attend Sunday school and begin to learn about God again. Her family became very angry about this, and they took her away again. But because God was watching out for her, something strange happened. And guess what it was? Someone guess what it was. You're never going to guess.
She was sent to a temple?
She what?
She was sent to a temple?
Can't understand.
Okay.
Was
It's
she
okay.
sent to a temple?
Oh, sent to a temple. No, but that would have been a very good guess. She wasn't sent to a temple. She became sick. You said, how can that be God taking care of her? Well, the mission station had medicine, and her family needed her to have medicine. So they brought her back to Amy so she could get medicine. And she stayed with Amy for several weeks while she recovered from her bad sickness. During that time, she not only promised to continue serving God, but that she gave her life to God to serve Him for the rest of her life. And though eventually she was taken back to live with her family, she was given a great opportunity to learn and grow in Jesus Christ during that time. Now, I think that's going to be about all the time we have for this week. But next week, I want to tell you all about one more little girl who was able to meet Amy, and because of that, her whole life was changed. This little girl's name was Pearl Eyes. Not only would her life be changed forever, but also Amy's life would be changed forever after meeting this one little girl. Now, bye, kids and puppets, and I will.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Actually, before I go, I think all of y'all should get some cotton candy because y'all were so well behaved. But one more quick reminder to the kids at home watching: don't try to eat this kind of cotton candy at home.
Thank you.
This cotton candy is only for puppets. Now, I'll see y'all next week, and y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Preach the gospel here, preach the gospel there, preach the gospel overseas, or preach it everywhere. Preach it when it is cold. Preach it when it is hot. Preach it when you are in the mood, and preach it when you are not. So preach the gospel here, preach the gospel there, preach the gospel overseas, oh preach it everywhere. Preach it to those you like, preach it to those you don't. Preach it to those who will listen, and preach it to those who won't. So preach the gospel here, preach the gospel there, preach the gospel overseas, oh preach it everywhere. Preach it in early morn, preach it in bright and noon, preach it in evening tide, oh Jesus is coming soon. So preach the gospel here, preach the gospel there, preach the gospel overseas, oh preach it everywhere. Preach it everywhere!
Yeah.
Preach the gospel here, preach the gospel there, preach the gospel overseas, oh preach it everywhere. Preach it everywhere!
Auf Wiedersehen.
Well, I am just fed up. Y'all's behavior has been terrible. For shame, puppets. I've been teaching y'all for 3 weeks now, and y'all just don't sit still and listen and behave. Makes me not want to teach at all. But I do want y'all to learn about missionary stories, so if y'all promise to behave, when I go get my missionary story, I'll let you get out of timeout. So, do y'all promise to behave now? I'll let y'all out of timeout, and I'm gonna go get my missionary story so we can learn today.